Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. And as you see from the title, I seem to have accidentally started doing convict conditioning again. And you might say, oh, what are you doing, always switching programs, blah blah blah. But let me just, explain as the video goes on, and you think, you realize it probably makes a lot of sense. Anyway, that was me last month, and this is me this month. And these are really just raw muscular gains. I tried Grease to Groove for a while, but I just didn't like the way it works. So I went back to normal, kind of volume training with some rest to just try and build some muscle, and use that for the strength gains instead. So as you can see, 3 reps, not bad for a month, I mean, I am very biomechanically disadvantaged to do this motherfucking move, so like headstand push-up for me is a big deal. So I'm happy to go up 300% increase in strength in a month. If I can get up to 6 reps next month, I'll be really super happy. As soon as I get 5 reps, I'm going to stop doing these negatives to finish off the sets as well, because I just like doing about 5 concentrated efforts, in that first set. And then I finish off with some full range of motion pike push-ups just to keep strength in the full range of motion, and also just, to even it out with some back off sets essentially. And as you can see, this is the first of my big 6 from Convict Conditioning. There's 6 big exercises in the routine for anyone who isn't familiar with it, and handstand push-ups is one of them. My goal is really to get about 10 full range of motion ones on these parallettes at the wall. Because right now I feel like the one arm handstand push-up is not a useful goal for me, but 10 of these against the wall would be really, really useful for my overall strength and, well-being and mental motivation. After that I go into another one of the big 6, which is the one arm pull-up progressions. I found that, the reps and all kind of work quite well for me, but the progressions I found just didn't really work for me. So in that way I'm kind of doing the approach again, but with my own progressions, and own programming. Which is, I think, kind of the point of it all really, when it boils down to it, find out what works for you. And I'm getting there bit by bit, This towel progression, I really like it, you bring your arm further and further down the towel as you get stronger. Right now I'm aiming for 2 sets of 8, which is essentially like 4 sets of pull-ups, So it's quite a lot of volume. I mean, if you do the math, that's like 32 pull-ups each time. And they're not easy, and it's quite a good grip workout. My forearm is sore for many days after doing this. And I worked my way up to 2 sets of 8 before I dropped the hand, and now I'm down to 8-6. So again, I'll try to get 2 sets of 8 and bring it further down the towel again. Next, another one of the big 6 is of course the one arm push-up progression. I really underestimated just how difficult it is to learn this, or just build up the strength for it. Again, I'm kind of disadvantaged because of my height, but that's no excuse really. One arm push-up should be quite attainable for me. So I found a version with a ball to just be a bit too easy after a while. So I got this idea from the Convict Conditioning Facebook group, which I really recommend if you're into progressive calisthenics. Join that group because there's a lot of great people there with a lot of great advice, and they're all willing to help. So absolutely, if you're watching this and you're not part of it, I really recommend that you join that group. I'm going to try work up to 2 sets of 20, again like the book recommends. And then which is kind of like 4 sets, 80 push-ups, which is a hell of a lot of volume. So again, I think it should help a lot with muscle building. And I'll bring that stick around to my side, right next to my hip. And if I can get 5 good reps, I'll work my way up again. That's what I kind of love about the progressive calisthenics approach. There's natural periodization built into it, I'll build up to like set to 20, which is almost like, more endurance than anything else. Well, it is really. And then you drop the sets down to like 5, and you work on strength again and build it up to 20, and you go through strength, hypertrophy and endurance. And all the while you're conditioning the joints as you take your time, It's great. And then after that I even out my upper body with another pull exercise. This isn't one of the big 6, but I think it's super important, so I added in. And the reason I'm doing these one-armed is just because I want to condition myself for the one-arm pull-up a bit more. And I just love the way this feels in a dead hang at the bottom here. It just really stretches out the joints and the ligaments, and I feel like I'm conditioning myself by doing high reps with this exercise. I try to go for about 10 to 15 reps, which is just a nice feeling, I'm doing this more for conditioning than for raw strength. But there's plenty of research showing that sets of 15-20 build loads of strength. If you can do 15 reps and you go to 16, you've gotten a little bit stronger. I'm not so militant about that anymore really, And it's nice to do higher reps with this, since the pull-ups are relatively low reps by comparison. And then another one of the big six, of course, is squat. Can't forget the lower body. And I did pistol squats for a while, you know, but you know, there's doing a pistol squat and then there's doing a pistol squat well. And I really want to do more volume again for the muscle building properties of that. So I took out a counterweight to make it a bit easier for myself, and I went barefoot to really make sure I could get like the muscular tension even. A lot of people kind of give out to me when I ask about this online, you know, saying, oh, you don't have the ankle mobility. But there's nothing wrong with my ankle or hip mobility. It's just a case that I think I just wasn't really strong enough for it to be 100% comfortable. So that's why the counterweight is really nice. And something interesting happened to me with this when I went for higher reps. Just 8. Usually I do 5 or 6, but just by going to 8, that little bit of a difference. All of a sudden my calves were sore after this workout, you know, I could really feel a burn in it. So those higher reps seem to really hit the calves well. I'll build up to 10 reps of this, just one set, just like the book recommends. And it's working actually, the reps are going up. And as soon as I hit 10, I'm on 8 right now, I'll add in a second set of 5 to 10, and then I will go for 20 reps to see if I can get it, you know. Because that again is what the book recommends, and I like the idea of it, because then it should be much easier to drop the weight and maybe try it again, normal pistols without a counterweight, you know. But the counterweight is a lovely way to train it. And another one of the big six is the bridging, but I don't like working it for reps because it just leaves my lower back too sore, so I do it as a stretch. And this way works really well if you haven't tried it. You see, you elevate your feet, and with the pillow I can easily manipulate the position of my head and curve it around. And if I hold this stretch for 2 sets of 30 seconds even, I don't get sore, but I increase the flexibility each time. You know, my lower lumbar spine used to always get so sore, but it doesn't anymore when I do it this way. So if you're struggling like I was, I recommend you try this. Again, I can do a normal bridge, but I don't like my technique with it. So this is a really lovely way to practice it. And then after that I have started some V-sit work, which is again one of the big six, because hanging leg raises are just a bit too easy for me now. I'll show you some of that next month when I have a chance to practice it a bit more. But again, that is all the big six, just with added in rows. So somehow I've gone from Convict Conditioning not liking the progressions to other programs like Body and liking the progressions, and then kind of eliminating the flashy stuff like muscle ups and plyometric jumps and all that stuff that I don't really need, to going back to just these 6 or 7 exercises which are really important, and just working through them in kind of high volume workouts once or twice a week, well 2 or 3 times a week, and it just is working really well to just build up the strength and condition myself. So I'll finish this video off with a little bit of comedy, a little bit of behind the scenes, me panting after my push-up set. So enjoy, and I'll see you all next month. Thanks for watching.
Was the grunting really necessary?